Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, January 20th, around 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. Two big earthquakes today above 6 magnitude, both 63 degrees west longitude. But the big story, record snow piling up in the west, 20 feet of snow in Mammoth Mountain, and more to come after a coating Midwest with snow. Large storm aims for the Northeast, 4 to 8 inches expected, and more is coming. 3 nor'easters and an Alberta clipper. Keep calm. It's boom time. Snow returns to central New York today, and 12 inches of snow is expected to hit particularly dry eastern Colorado. Let's take a look at the biggest January snow event in 30 plus years for Denver.
More than half of a foot of snow piling up in some places in the Denver metro area, making for a slippery, tough commute for a lot of people. But here in the downtown area, things are relatively calm. As you can see, buses are still running and plows have been out on the streets clearing things up. We've seen a lot of workers shoveling the sidewalks, making sure that things aren't too slippery for people walking around trying to get to work. Denver Public Schools did cancel classes today, but still a lot of people are going.
Clearly, that's not a lot of snow. Unless you, well, if you're in my backyard, you know. But there was more snow in central Colorado. We have another foot today. We are buried, and we continue to get buried. They predicted an inch of snow, and 7 or 8 inches has already fallen, and now it's dark. Let's take a look at what happened just north of here, up near Ophir.
Avalanche dumped about 20 feet of snow on Ophir Road. Ophir is about 10 miles south of Telluride in San Miguel County.
As we say, oh, for God's sakes, it's always something up there in the Ophir valleys. Power has been restored, which if you were there at the scene, you'd say that's pretty amazing.
Let's rewatch that in high def.
Avalanche dumped about 20 feet of snow on Ophir Road. Ophir is about 10 miles south of Telluride in San Miguel County.
As we say, oh, for God's sakes, it's always something up there in the Ophir valleys. Power has been restored, which if you were there at the scene, you'd say that's pretty amazing.
The sheriff's office says no cars were trapped under the avalanche, but some cars did drive into it and got stuck during the whiteout. Officials are asking people in Ophir to stay home, and people who live there but are currently outside of town should find somewhere else to stay tonight. The sheriff says they're expecting more avalanches tonight.
You can ski in and out. We're not recommending that because, once again, the chance of having additional slides come down.
Yeah.
The county's road and
you could ski in and out, and you can get taken out. So avalanche warnings and watches are all over our region, as well as the Sierras. As we're looking at some amazing snowfall totals, some of the highest totals in years. Mammoth Mountain is sitting at 240 inches. Donner Pass, God bless their souls, 181.7 inches. 155 at Tahoe Donner, 106 in Tahoma, and 16.7 inches since Christmas in Reno, Nevada. That is the amount of snow that has fallen since December 26th. Yeah, that's amazing. And we have similar conditions here at Wolf Creek Pass, just a few miles to the east of here, 231 inches. So we have another 20 feet here as well up at the Continental Divide. Now here's the 72-hour snowfall analysis, and you can see the big winter chicken dinner is going to be over 2 feet of snow central Nebraska. And there is the snow track and some of the early totals as of 6 a.m. this morning in the Northeast. There's going to be more snow falling there as we get to the forecast. Unsettled weather for the Great Lakes and the Northeast. The next storm developing for the southern U.S. The storm will be slowly exiting the Great Lakes and Northeast corridors later tonight, accompanied by occasional snow, resulting in hazardous travel conditions. Another storm developing across the Four Corners region is forecast to intensify and track across the southern plains and southeast this weekend. Rain, locally heavy, possible severe thunderstorms are forecast. Snow for the central plains as well. Here you can see the current winter storm warnings and watches in place. So take heed and click on your county for more info. Now, I've been shoveling for 5 days, and I need a little bit more shoveling to clear off some of the greenhouses tomorrow. But the good news is that in the next week or so, there is just a few inches of snow forecast for our region. So let's walk you through. Here is your Saturday into your Sunday. That will be your fun day for Kansas, especially the northwest portion of the state. And then just some mild snow moving up into the northeast through the end of the weekend into Monday. Here is Monday through Tuesday. So most of the heavy snow will be in the mountainous areas of, well, in the southern portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, and a central swash coming up through Maine. It's insane. There'll be some snow also in West Virginia. Heads up, snowshoe. Had to get rid of that cursor. Now we've got some pretty significant snow moving into the Pacific Northwest with one phase early. And then here we have Wednesday, another storm moving up through the northeast. Wednesday and Thursday bringing heavy snow to central PA, as well as the Catskills and maybe even the Dax through Thursday. And then another Alberta Clipper will come through at the end of the month here, adding to those totals. And then late in the models here, as we head into February, take a look. Another nor'easter will develop and bring maybe heavy snow to the coast. But this is a long way off and could be bringing some heavy totals down to Oklahoma as well. So stay tuned for more boom. China suffers minus 50 C. This is the first time in 54 years they reached that temperature. And the Russian towns and cities enduring all-time record colds. And a Kyrgyzstan lake that never freezes over just froze over. It's so deep and retains so much heat, it never freezes. But it's frozen now as an Arctic blast is set to hit Europe as well as North America. Head over to Cap Alon's Electroverse and read the article for more information. Now, we've heard the claim that there's no snow in the Alps this winter. Well, apparently that's fake news. We retweeted this earlier today. This is a picture from the French Alps today. Yes, Châtel in La Plagne. La Plagne. Pictured. So clearly you can see he is skiing in what appears to be 24 inches of the global warming goodness. So the powder has returned to the Alps. Magnitude 6.2 earthquake hits 30 miles west of Guadeloupe in the Leeward Islands of the Caribbean today, as well as a 6.8, apparently downgraded to 6.3, striking near Santiago del Estero in Argentina. Here are the two quakes, both of them centered around 63 west longitude. That's quite interesting. That aligns up with almost nothing, but is an interesting fact to note. No other quakes of note worldwide, and we're going to keep a close eye on these because they're both quite deep and blood echoes. The Guadeloupe quake was at 166.4 kilometers. The quake in Argentina was at 610 kilometers. This is approaching some of the deepest quakes ever recorded. It's well inland of any subduction, but both of these are deep tectonic quakes. No volcanic activity suspected. However, there is volcanic activity in this arc in the Leeward Islands. So we'll keep a close eye on Guadeloupe to see if there might be, well, some more boom. Worldwide volcano news update. Semaru to 14,000. Sabancaya, a little bit of an ash puff. Reventador to 15,000. Stromboli, Santa Rita, and Fuego. Nothing spectacular or that interesting. Here we can see a little puff from Semaru. Who knew? But Fuego, some spectacular photography there, and continuing eruptions today. Glowing lava bombs and its ballistic trajectory during the eruption at Fuego. Gorgeous pictures. We also have some shots of Villarica with intense paroxysms happening at the summit caldera. Over to space weather for January 21st. We could see that large sunspot has basically gone beta. It's not even a threat for any flaring because the magnetic complexity is completely separate. And here you can see the sun has gone pretty dead over the last 36 to 48 hours. Only minor C flares that are slightly impulsive. We do have a coronal hole that will be facing Earth tomorrow, and we could be getting some coronal hole stream activity in the next 3 days. And that is all on the geomagnetic forecast, which is all quiet on the Western Front. That flurry of sunspot activity has died off, and the sun has gone silent at solar max once again. Now, a free paper we're going to bring you up to speed with, including space weather, the evolution of the plasma universe. Yeah, this is the primer to the plasma universe theory coming from Anthony Peratt back in 1986. This is the full paper with all the links in PDF. It's a 44-minute read, and we will leave you links below so you can get up to speed on the plasma universe or electric universe if you have no idea what we're talking about. Now, is the Colorado River rising? Yes! Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. Yes, we'll get to Al later in the podcast where we have some amazing footage of him absolutely losing his mind and telling lies once again. But the good news is the Colorado River is rising, and the fear-mongering they've been doing on the Colorado River is insane. It's the lowest in 100 years. It's a mega drought. Well, they've been stealing the water from the Colorado River for 100 years. That's why it's low. It's not because of climate change. It's because of theft of water. But there is an interesting statistic here to give you a little bit of perspective that it's not as bad as the alarmists tell you. The Colorado River, which originates in the Rocky Mountains and flows 1,450 miles across the Southwest and northern Mexico, supplies water to millions of people. But over the last century, the river flow has only dropped 20%. That's it. With all the theft and all the irrigation, that's all it's dropped. And it's probably because of theft and irrigation, not because of climate. Those are my 2 cents. Some fairy tales here. Humans will walk on the moon in 2025, according to NASA. Well, the time is ticking, and you have 2.5 years. Well, maybe 3. Now, the oldest art wasn't made by Homo sapiens, and it is not these pictures. Completely delusional article. What they claim is that Neanderthals used pigment, and they may have drawn some things on cave walls that we're unaware of. But they used this picture instead with what appears to be here a triceratops foot. What the? Anyway, fossils of megaraptors, a feathered dinosaur found in Patagonia. Could this be a megaraptor? Perhaps. Now, this is pretty amazing. Fossils of megaraptors, which are carnivorous dinosaurs that will bite your head off, inhabited parts of South America during the Cretaceous period 70 million years ago. They were found in sizes up to 10 meters long. That's a 30-foot chicken that can eat your head off. There it is. Fantastic. And this is where they're uncovering those fossils from Chile's far south Rio de las Chinas Valley. Yeah, just like the China virus. The Chinas Valley. Now, Mexico bans solar geoengineering experiments after the startup in Baja was doing field tests out of their RV. Good news. Now, the startup tried to launch sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere from Baja, California. And now the government of Mexico is cracking down. Thank goodness. Hopefully other countries will be just as smart. Now, a radio signal was detected from a galaxy 8 billion light years away. Yeah, billions and billions of light years away. Hey. It's true. A new record has been broken in the search for signals in deep space. Scientists using the giant Metro-wave radio telescope in Pune, India, detected a radio signal emitted by a hydrogen atom. The hydrogen is believed to be 8.8 billion years old, and the furthest radio signal of its type detected by scientists from Earth. And thank God for radio telescopes. And our prayers go out to Arecibo that has melted into the desert. Now take a look at this. On Saturday, tomorrow, the closest new moon will approach in 1,337 years. This is going to be big tides for California, West Coast, East Coast. So heads up, we're talking some of the biggest tides in 1,337 years. So be aware that the mainstream media is going to fearmonger about this phenomenon and the major tides. And, well, they're going to call it climate change. Mark my words. I just showed you the cause. The closest moon in 1,337 years tomorrow, which is going to be the biggest tides ever seen in some areas in 1,337 years. Do you think there's going to be flooding? Ha! I do. So, this is the closest new moon since the Middle Ages. According to the calculations, on January 21st, 2023, the new moon will be at its closest distance to Earth in the last 992 years. The next time the new moon will be this close will be 345 years from now, making this the closest new moon boom in 1,337 years. Hello! So go out and look up at no moon, but just know it's there and it's affecting the tides. Now, a 500-year-old paradox by Leonardo da Vinci has finally been solved, according to a study. More than 500 years ago, Leonardo da Vinci was watching air bubbles float up through water. As you do when you're a Renaissance area polymath. And when he noticed that some bubbles inexplicably started spiraling or zigzagging instead of making a straight ascent to the surface. Well, for centuries, nobody has offered a satisfying explanation for this weird periodic deviation in the motion of some bubbles, which has been now called the Leonardo paradox. But a new paper coming out January 17th, Path Instability of an Air Bubble Rising in Water, has set out and claimed to have solved Leonardo's paradox. Wow. Isn't there more important things to figure out? Now, a monster space rock in Antarctica is among the largest found in 100 years, and it's a big baby. Take a look. My question is, how old is it? And is it from the Younger Dryas catastrophe? That's where I'm always going. But the big find in this haul weighs in at 7.6 kilograms, a 16.8 pound meteorite, placing it in the top 100 in terms of size for meteorites recovered in Antarctica over the past century. Now, considering some 4,500 specimens have been recovered, this baby is pretty important, and more news will be coming, I'm sure. Now, are you wondering why your eggs are $7 to $15 a dozen? Well, ours are free because they're right out there. But the avian flu is hammering U.S. poultry farmers, leaving experts to ask, what has changed? More than 40 million egg-laying hens have been culled in the U.S. alone, making it the worst outbreak on record. Or, perhaps, a planned culling by the powers that be to rise prices in eggs and to hurt producers. Because I don't know if you know, if they go in and they do their sampling, all they have to detect is one source of avian flu, and you have to kill everything. 99.9% of your birds could be avian flu free, but they don't care. You have to kill them all. And by doing this, and in the last decade, driving out small producers and creating larger and larger producers, that if just 10% of the producers are affected, that's almost 10% of the eggs. Indeed. Because they're culling millions of birds on these large farms. By design. Now, also happening by design at Davos, some of the dumbest people on Earth gathered and burned more CO2 than entire countries do in an entire year in just a weekend. And the fat, out of touch, insignificant climate alarmist Al Gore, who's currently in a hole in the backyard here, literally lost his mind and said some of the dumbest ever on live TV. Well, and they paid him a lot to do this. He literally claimed the oceans were boiling, which is 212 degrees, by the way. And the oceans have never been that temperature ever. So let's listen to the psychopath Al Gore himself.
We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day. And the accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans, creating these atmospheric rivers and the rain bombs and sucking the moisture out of the land and creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century. Look at the xenophobia and political authoritarian trends that have come from just a few million refugees. What about a billion? We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day, and the accumulated amount is now trapping.
So this psychopath not only claims that the oceans are boiling, but that climate has caused 1 billion climate refugees and the spread of xenophobia. I think the spread of xenophobia came from the Democrats and the woke movement and BLM and Antifa burning cities and claiming it was mostly peaceful, and and claiming it all has to do with white supremacists. How about the idolization? Anyway, I don't want to go there. But this guy is no hero. He's a propagandist that is there to spread fear.
As much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic
600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs worth of heat. And the oceans are boiling.
bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans.
Oh, the oceans have boiled. Did you miss that? I was swimming and my whole family died. They became poached eggs.
These atmospheric rivers.
Atmospheric rivers from the boiling oceans and people burning up or falling on California. It's not snow, it's boiled oceans and people.
And the rain bombs and sucking
bombs from the rain. They're from Hiroshima.
The moisture out of the land. And
they sucked moisture directly out of the land.
Creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level. And
this guy is a clown. And people soak it up. They gobble it up. Man, they praise him. The Greta Thunbergs of the world. They love Al Gore. And it may have to do with quantum theory and the quantum mystery. Because things only exist once we interact with them. So maybe, it's my hope, if we stop interacting with Al Gore, he will no longer exist. And that's my theory. And I'm going to stick to it. What say you it? Now, newly discovered 10,500-year-old civilization shows a rare glimpse in a society that was much larger than thought and much more advanced. Look at all these artifacts in this one hole. A trove of artifacts, including animal bones, weapons, tools, and advanced woodworking and carving. Take a look at this. There is some of the most amazing preserved wood in this anoxic dig. Some of the oldest specimens on Earth. This piece is 10,500 years old. And take a look at the tip of this harpoon. Or a fish spear of some sort. Amazing technology. And this is some of the hidden history we've been talking about for almost a decade now. Including an amazing expose I did on Magnetic Reversal News last night about ancient Mayan superhighways or causeways. Elevated up to 16 feet, tamped and rolled by hand with retaining walls that have stood the test of time for 3,000 years or more. Why isn't Al Gore talking about this? The complex system of superhighways connected major metropolitan areas, only recently discovered using LiDAR technology in the last 5 years. There were literally tens of millions of people living in the jungles of Guatemala, Mexico, in all of the Americas thousands of years ago. It is the cradle of humanity. Join us tomorrow for more tantalizing tidbits about the hidden history and cosmic catastrophe with Leah and I on our radio program, Cosmic Catastrophe, on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Studio B at 12 noon Mountain Time, where for the last several months we've been uncovering what happened during the largest mass extinction in recent history, 12,850 years ago. And the revelations are adding up, and we're getting places. So please tune in for more Boom tomorrow. Now, for freedom lovers in Canada or all over the world, it doesn't matter where you are, there is a Zoom meeting hosted by Rina Malka. And Rina Malka and Michael Benyakar will have Judy Mikovits on a Zoom meeting that you can all join. And the topic is healing from the vax. Tuesday, January 24th, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can email freedomloverscanada@gmail for the Zoom info or visit freedomloverscanada.com for resources. And we will link this graphic below if you want to go get that. Just remember, email freedomloverscanada@gmail or visit freedomloverscanada.com. That's Boom, the knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. I hope you got something out of the video. We love each and every one of you. Thanks for sticking with us. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this with like-minded people. Become a Patreon. Support the work we do. I've been shoveling for 5 days, but I keep making the videos because it's important. That's Boom.